Hi, I'm Mike Amerzowitz. I'm running for state senate here in the 31st district, and a lot of people ask me why I'm running. It's really simple. I think Illinois is a great place. There's a lot of problems, but there's so much great about Illinois, and we could take what is good with Illinois to fix what is wrong with Illinois. And the way we go about that is fixing the way we do government here. When you take a look at Illinois, it has so many resources. We're a global financial center. We have an incredible downtown. We're a transportation hub for highways, for the waterways, airways, railways. We have vast farmlands, coal fields. We have manufacturing, Midwest values. We have more fresh water than we know what to do with, that we actually use it for recreation. So the question is, how do we screw it up? We're dead last in bond rating. We have one of the worst unemployment rates in the country. The one place we probably are at the top is in taxpayer burden. People of Illinois are have one of the worst burdens for taxes in the nation. So we take a look at all that, and the real problem is how we conduct business here in Illinois, and mainly down in Springfield. So how do we fix that? We take a set of values that we employ right here at the kitchen table. When we balance our family budget, we do it because it makes sense. And if we don't, it hurts. Now, down in Springfield, they're constitutionally mandated to balance a budget, but they just keep pushing it forward. And in the end, we end up with a $110 billion budget deficit and all the other economic problems we have. So the first thing we have to do is not spend what we don't have. And if we borrow money, make sure it's sensible. The second thing, we need to create an environment here in Illinois that actually brings businesses back and keeps them here. We do that through having a sensible corporate tax structure as well as workman's comp reform. When you take a look, everybody knows somebody who has moved to Wisconsin or Indiana because their jobs took them there. Businesses are leaving like crazy, and it's not because they're getting better weather in Wisconsin. They're just getting a better business-friendly environment for them to thrive and prosper and create more jobs. Another big problem we have here are our career politicians. And to tell you the truth, it's been going on a long time. We've had people down there 30, 40, some are closing on 50 years. How do they stay in contact with you and I as a resident of Illinois? So I propose, I'm going to term limit myself to 10 years. And I will do everything I can to fight for term limits to get them passed legislatively or on the ballot. We almost had it done in 2014, where we had over 500,000 signatures, and Michael Madigan fought it, got it knocked off on a technicality. It would have limited to everyone 8 years. So my premise is, going to Springfield is a call to duty, a service. You do a fixed amount of time, then go back to your district like the rest of us and get a job. And another question I get a lot is, well, how do we know you're going to represent these values? What is your background? You know, my life is nothing, it's not something that's really catchy or newsworthy. I'm a regular guy. I grew up in a steel town, Lackawanna, New York, where the people were hardworking, they were gritty, they were tough. They could take a punch as quick as deliver one. And they were all Kennedy, Truman Democrats. In fact, I voted for Walter Mondale in 1984, even though I'm a Reagan Republican. And the reason I did, because they were good people. And I followed what they did as a young man. They worked hard, they believed in America, they took care of their families, they just represented all the values that typical Americans can respect and value. So I go in the Navy and I start listening to this fellow, Ronald Reagan, and anyone who remembers the post-Vietnam military and the sailors and dogs keep off the grass stuff, but Ronald Reagan gave us significance again. He made us proud to be defending that shiny city on the hill. So I got two messages. Being a military person is a great thing. It's something to be proud of, and we're defending a noble cause. And along the way, I meet a wonderful lady, and she came from Poland and was asking me a lot of questions. We first started dating about, where do you stand politically? And I told her, well, I grew up a Democrat, and I'm kind of shifting over to being a Republican because that's where I think my values are aligning. And as a result, she was watching the national conventions in 1988. She really buying into this democracy thing and said, well, I want to watch. So she listened to the Democratic convention, didn't really like what she heard. She heard Reagan speak at the Republican National Convention and said, you know what, you could do as you please, but I'm a Republican. And it wasn't out of anything transactional that someone said, well, you can have a job and therefore become a Republican. It was all values-based and principles. She says, you know what, I like this this positive message I heard from Ronald Reagan, because this is a great country. We just need to function and we need to operate our governments properly and with good sense. So what does that mean to the people of Illinois and the people of my district? I go to Springfield. There's certain values that I internalized over the last 40 years, 50 years that I'm taking down there. And sensible spending is one. Having an environment that creates work and creates jobs through private enterprise in our communities. And finally, term limits, because we all need to serve and then come on back home and go to work. So there you have it in a nutshell. Thanks.